This webcam absolutely loves to not show Kirby. I don't know why. But it just... It's right there. Gone. It's right there. Gone. What is up, Blight? Welcome to being the first one that spoke. There might be someone else here. I don't know. So it's a thing called pretzel. Yeah, the links show up. It's Pretzel Rocks. Or pretzel.rocks. And yeah, it's like music for streamers. So you won't get DMCA'd by it. And you can have like different categories. Like I just like the lo-fi one because it's chill. So that's where I've been getting it from. I know B Cocky, the artist that is really awesome, also has a hilarious name. That's what she uses. And I was like, that looks familiar. And then I saw a few other people use it and I was like, okay, I gotta check this out. It works really well. Super easy. How are you doing this fine day, other than work? And yeah, it does automatically when a new song starts. It'll automatically throw it in the chat. Haven't found a topic that put me in just chatting mode, so I haven't used it. Totally fair. But when you do, it's a solid program. It works really well. Kirby, I need to move you a little bit. Maybe when I'm editing. Yeah, I mean they play nice music, so I would like to check out some of the other stations too. Just to get more familiar with it. And like, because I've heard some other stuff from other streamers, and like, honestly, I've liked everything I've heard. And not like, oh yeah, let me grab this album. But like, good vibes. Sounds good. Real chill. And if I listen to a genre I listen to more, I might actually be like, oh, yeah, I do want that. I put mummified in spa bugs. That's supposed to be sap. That's dyslexia or bad typing. Boy howdy, let me tell you how involved I didn't know doing a review was. I have made much less progress than I would want to. I see how some people's only job. Yeah, it is not easy. There's a lot of like critical thinking you have to do. You have to like find a way to explain everything you want to say in a particular term. Like it's a lot of work. I mean, on top of that, you have to write it out, which is itself, you know, its own thing, and then you have to edit it and be like, okay. And what type of review is it? Strictly like informative? Do you want to throw some jokes in there? Like, do you want to do some visual gags? That's all stuff that you have to write, plan. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Very hard to find time to work for 8 hours. Yeah, it really is. They are time consuming. So I feel you, totally understand. Yeah, it's a very easy thing to look at and be like, oh, this is simple. Kind of like, kind of most things. If you, it's like, how hard can blacksmithing be? You just pound some metal. No, it's like, no, it's a lot of work. I haven't done blacksmithing, but I assume it is actually very hard. Because I can't even like do clay in good shapes, and that's infinitely easier to work with than doggone molten metal. Is a poor choice to make 3 at once. to give me a head start. That's all it is. I mean, yeah, if you bake it, if you put it down to like its core thing, kind of like saying cooking is just, you know, making food hot. But really, it's so much more than that. This is a good jam. Thing I was thinking about today, I mean, we tend to get off topic when people come in. Hopefully more people will come in. Who knows? I never know what's going to happen on these days. I did miss it. I heard there was a buff Meowico or whatever they're called. Meow person. And that was her favorite character. And she said it looked really good. It's on Milla. Yeah, I heard it looked really good. And then sometimes the movie happens and it's not, yeah, that it had a really high game feel. That's cool. She was saying like wants to watch it again, so it's like doesn't get pixelated and choppy because it just looks pretty and just want to look at it again, even though she knows it's not a very good movie. 55 and 50, that's a lot. That is a lot higher than a lot of the other ones. Does that make it Paul F. Tompkins or whatever his name is best film on the list? Because he's got Mortal Kombat, all the doggone Alice Resident Evils. I think there was another one, but maybe it is just by a long shot. Wow, even more than the first Resident Evil. Dang. Because I think a few... Paul Wes Anderson did MK. Yeah, he did Mortal Kombat, the 90s version that you and I complain about that everybody else seems to love. Yeah, he did that one too. I don't think I like him as a director. Like, I want to... Every movie I've seen of his, I have not liked. I haven't seen them all, though. Some are more tolerable than others. Some are like, oh, that was a cool idea in this little section of it. But yeah, I don't think I've ever liked one of his movies. I carefully scratched my nose this time. I'm getting better about it. There's a TVA Just Cause movie in the works by Universal. I'm predicting he'll be on that one too. Ooh, are you serious? This is a Universal. Just hang on, I gotta look at this. Just Cause movie. Dang, I can't find anything for it immediately, so I'm not gonna look. It's just on the list in the wiki. Oh, okay. Makes sense. I mean, I know nothing about Just Cause, but from what I know about Paul W.S. Thompson Anderson, I would prefer if someone else made that movie. 12th best? Dang. That game feel really brought that score up, because it seems like... Oh, I mean, 50 isn't too bad. or entertainment compared to some of the things we watch. I mean, it's bad in the sense of like, is it a movie I'd actually want to watch? But like, oof. All right, get on this. That was my synopsis. Reeking of WS funk and doobie smoke. Nice. Did you guys do the new Mortal Kombat movie yet? How are you doing, Doc? I don't think we have, unless we've missed it. I've seen it. The one that came out in 2021, Blight. Yeah, I actually saw it, and Annihilation is still the best Mortal Kombat movie. What's up, Crawdad? How you doing? Saw the 90s Mortal Kombat movie at a midnight matinee when it came out. It was fun because the crowd hyped and yelling all the catchphrases. Tried watching it again last year. Didn't dig it or remember hardly anything before. Yeah. I feel like it's exactly why it hits the like, this is the best video game movie ever, because that is what people remember. Crawdad is that experience of it, which is valid. I don't think that having a movie with a great experience should be completely removed from the movie itself. So that's cool. But yeah, kind of like you said, you watch it again, and outside of that scenario, it's like, this is happening in front of me. All right. But like, yeah, the one where it's some dude and they don't fight in a tournament. There are a couple of good fight scenes in that movie. I will say that. What's up, B. Leon? Gambetta? What brings you here today? And if it's RPG stuff, we will start talking about RPG stuff. We're talking about Mortal Kombat movies at the moment, but we can change subjects because this is actually what we're here for. But yeah, the main character was terrible. But some of the fight scenes were good. The first fight scene was really good. The Sonya and what's his name? Kano in the trailer towards the end, that was a really good fight scene. And then those are the only two I remember being good. Which is really disappointing in a doggone Mortal Kombat movie. Like, that's what you're here for. It's for RPG stuff, but I'm down for Mortal Kombat movie stuff too. Oh, good. We'll get back on topic eventually, but yeah, Mortal Kombat movies. What the heck? Also, new Rumble in the Bronx. Also saw Rumble in the Bronx at midnight matinee. Fun for the same reason, but that one it's also a lot fun to reach. I haven't seen Rumble in the Bronx. That's Jackie Chan, right? I have heard good things. On the subject of RPGs and movies with fight scenes, I have yet to play or effectively create an RPG that gives me the same feeling of watching a really good fight scene. And I absolutely want that. That's one of my like RPG dreams, is to either find a system or make a system that is quick, reactive, and fluid enough in combat to give you that feeling of like a interactive fight rather than a hit, deal damage, do with that, now it's their turn, like something that's way more fluid. And that's a tall order. That's not like we'll just bang it out. Like, that's a tall freaking order, but I really want it to exist. Maybe it already does and I don't know about it. Waffling gives me time to make snacks. Nice. Find those snacks. First Jack Chan movie that got wide distribution in the US really took off. Oh, that's cool. Megan and I talked about it. We think the reason most movies about fighting games aren't about the tournament is because someone has to win and you alienate the fans who didn't win. Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Well, that's why you make alternate endings, which is still what I think they should do for the Twisted Metal series. That I am excited about. Such a tough thing to do. I've played and read so many games that say they do it, but not the same. Have you, Leon, have you gotten close? Like, what's the closest? Are there any you'd actually recommend? Or is it all like, no, they try and they fail? Also, I played a GM-less game called Emberland last night. I was going to put it, I forgot to put it in the Discord when I got home. Or Emberwind. It's GM-less. It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure RPG. As someone who hates Adventure League and stuff like that, and like Pathfinder Society, no offense, I just, the way it's structured, I really don't enjoy it. It seems too railroady and too like, you can't think outside the box. I had an absolute blast playing that, and I'm really looking forward to continuing the campaign. It's a cool system, and it's a neat way to do it. It's a little fluid. It's more fluid than I was expecting for a GM-less system. And they had some good things set up. Like, we found out after we did it, there's a spot where we're walking through the town, and there are two people in two shops called Great Expectation. They're Great Explorations. Great Expeditions, that's what it was called. Great Expeditions. And then Greater Expeditions. And they were arguing about which shop we should go in, and like calling out the other one. It was Emberwind. Hang on, let me type it in. Yeah, Emberwind. Put it in chat. And like, what we found out we could have done afterwards, we ended up going to Greater Expeditions because they had potions versus like climbing gear, and we were like, that sounds fun. And we found out like we could have, based on their dialogue choices and like the stuff, how you can interact, we could have played them against each other to get a discount by saying we were going to go to the other one and like doing some rolls with some social rolls, and it was really cool. Also, we fought a really cool critter that was like kind of like an ankylosaurus with like a coral thing on its back, and there were all these like called rift foxes that were like nine-tailed foxes that were really colorful, and they could teleport, and they lived in this thing's back in like a weird sort of colony. It was really freaking cool. It's very imaginative. It's pretty simple. We ended up playing pre-made characters just to start it off, because it was all of our first time playing it. The person who bought it got it at MagFest like 2 weeks ago, and we were like, he's like pulling the freaking out of the wrapping, so we were all learning together. It was really fun. I gotta catch up on chat now. I think I found a way to do it. There's like one or two things I have to go through. We'll talk about when I return. Must find soup. I have craving. Cool, find your soup, Doc. It would be awesome to recreate the back and forth like in old Shaw Brothers movies. Yes! How to do that without having combat turns. Take a bajillion hours is the trick. Yeah. It would be. I've not played Fight City by GBDW, also called PSC Gamer. But reading it, I think it has potential to hit. Ooh, okay. Let me see. I'm gonna pull that up in a tab. POC Gamer. That sounds familiar. Do I follow them on Twitter? Let me find out. I don't know. I did find Fight City. Cool. Oh, look at this. What's up, Larson? Get a discount or a DAT count. PC Gamer is on Twitter. Okay. That's probably where I've heard that then. I think I do. Now I gotta look that up. I am following POC Gamer. Yep. Okay. Cool. I'll definitely look at Fight City. I'll read their itch page. The Kano fight and the Scorpion fights are both legit parts. They're just like the first rounds. As I remember. It's there is a tournament, but I don't think they actually fight in the tournament. They talk about it and they're supposed to be prepping for it, but then Shang Tsung tricks or breaks the rules and they do fight, but it's not actually the tournament because they're trying to kill them before the tournament, so they like auto win the tournament and they don't have to play by tournament rules. It is needlessly confusing to the point of, if I'm remembering correctly, they shouldn't have even brought up the tournament. They should have just been like, yo, these guys trying to yuck us up and we need to stop it because they'll kill our world or whatever before the tournament even begins. Like, they didn't need to go into that. Oh, I take it back. He did do Paul West W. Sanderson, Bernie Sanders did do Event Horizon, and I do like Event Horizon. So he did make one movie I like. Thank you for reminding me that. I always forget that. That was in here somewhere, and I lost it. I'm good. Procrastinating on getting started with dinner. It's good this stream is on to help distract me further. Oh, well. Thanks, Larson, for roping me into this. But yeah, fight scenes. That's a whole topic. Like, I'm gonna write that down so I remember. Because that's a whole topic I would love to do, just a whole thing on with a guest. I just talk about that because I feel like it's there. We can get there. It does or should and can exist. We just got to figure it out. Like, your goals make martial arts move quick, make it look technical and skilled, and play it that way. Yeah. If I'm doing right, martial arts is turn-based. Thing you have to do in my expo. Ooh, what's that? Ah, B. Lennon Gambetta has joined us. Oh, you just saw my whole thing pop up. It's funny. Yeah. Thank you. I hope you find it here. You find it fun here. There's also a Discord, the Tyranno Chorus. There's a link down below. I can also put it in the chat. It also pops up regularly in the chat. And there's a dedicated server on there. Oh, Discordia is hosting. Thanks, Discordia. Also, hi, Discordia. And the Levitating Nun followed as well after the stream yesterday. So thank you, Levitating Nun. I don't know where you are, but wherever you are, thanks. Shanks on the other heels attack the faces backstage, hoping to get a no contest to win at the pay-per-view. That's exactly what it felt like, Crawdad. A more complicated version of the freaking heels hitting them backstage with cameras running. Calculate damage at the end of the round rather than after the hit. This avoids your stun lock. Ooh, I like that. That's a good idea, Doc. Yeah, if you do damage all at once, because it might be a way to counter that with your own moves, and then you're changing up the steps. Another way might be for every reaction, or for every action there's a reaction. So like every move would be a roll off. So like if you want to do X to other character will in turn do X to you. You both roll, higher roll takes, is successful, or higher roll within a threshold or something is successful, and thus it moves forward with that being this is what actually happened, and then do more from that. So in that way it's not you attack and it's the other person's turn then they attack, or it's like a passive dodging thing where it's a static number where you both have more things to do constantly. I haven't watched many martial arts movies, but it seems to me that a lot of what makes it fun is the back and forth of the fighting. So making martial arts and tabletop, you should have a robust system of counters and counter-counters and grapples and reactions. Totally agree, Larson. Absolutely keep with indie RPG stuff on Twitch. It's a great building place. Yeah, I just started a few weeks ago streaming it on Twitch. I've been making RPG stuff for years, but I started doing a stream for it specifically. And yeah, it's been really fun, Leon. There's been people showing up and it's pretty great. Really, really cool. Find ways for combat maneuvers, trip, grapple, etc. Not have to compete with attacks and damage in the action economy. Yeah, an action economy is like a key thing that you have to get right. Because which Emberland, back on that, their action economy is pretty cool. You have a set number of things. You have 4 actions in a turn, and then a slow action takes 2 and a fast action takes 1. And then certain things have like specialties. Like for my character, my first throwing knife in a turn counted as a fast action. And I also had spells and stuff, and most of those were actually fast actions. Moving more than one space is a slow action. And then we were able to like cast stuff and move and attack and get into position. And because of how the action economy worked with those, it was really easy to decide what to prioritize. So it was really cool. I love good action economy. That's just, love it. But yeah, combat maneuvers, very important, because it's not just about punch and damage in those. Like it is about deception and like you use your coat to tie up someone's arm. That's technically not doing damage, but it is incredibly changing the way the fight works. So yeah, having that replicated would be awesome. And yeah, like Larson said, the back and forth of maneuvers. So like melee / ball in V5. I have not played V5. Discordia, I should, because I like the WAD I have played, so I would like to. I've thought about that, but I worry it's harder to plan. Part of the goal with martial arts is showing off that strategic mind. That said, I have another way to do it. It's like Magic the Gathering. It uses cards. Ooh, cards. Doc, I'm gonna need a little more on this, because that just like really tickled my brain with being able to like thinking of it as a card game, like how you spend your points to better a situation, but only have a limited number of cards, and that if you do really well in one spot, your opponent will have more cards and they'll be able to like get you afterwards. Oh, this is really tickling my brain. Ooh. Pull dodge action out, call Cthulhu, and let it be something you can do by spending an attack of opportunity for that round. Players have this. It's been a blast. Oh, that sounds cool. Spike's tabletop RPG games should be at least partially card fueled, MTG style. The random card shuffle randomizer combat, which moves most viable at which moments. Yeah. I don't know about have to, but I think that's a cool idea, Larson. I agree. Now I'm catching up with this Doc wrote. The hive mind, card mind. Hey, what's up, Blue? Can you eat the bugs? A bit of a bug snack. You can have a bug snack in this campaign setting that we'll eventually talk about today, but we're talking about fighting in RPGs right now and trying to make like a how to do that as like a martial arts film style. But in this campaign, you can, that's a whole thing, is eating other bugs, and when it's socially acceptable to eat other bugs, and when it's not socially acceptable to eat other bugs, but you can eat other bugs. Like a deck builder, each player makes a stack of attacks and maneuvers. That would be cool, because then you could build a deck out of, or put more card events for a specific thing. Like if you want to be, like for me personally, I love using the environment in fight scenes, and so I would make a character that would do specifically that, or like focus on that. So it's like, I'm gonna grab this thing and use it in some fashion, versus having like, you know, like a strong style that's just punch hard. Combat starts, you each pull cards from the stack one after the other until the stacks are out or the opponent is down. Thing is, you can pull defense counter cards, your side of the deck, block counter. You're likely not to have enough for everything. Yeah, that's very important to not have enough for everything. Not sure on having a set order. It sounds like programming. Maybe you could sacrifice on that subject, Larson. Maybe you could like burn a card in order to up your initiative, essentially. So like, if you have 5 cards that you can play, and someone plays a card, and like say they all have a speed, and they play a card, and you want to play something before that, and you don't have a card that's a faster speed, then you could burn another card, and so just discard that, so now you're short one, but you get to pull off this thing before them. Something like that might work, so it's not strictly in order, like some sort of resource you have to burn. Basically functions like stack in Magic the Gathering, and there's casting, counter casting. Yeah, makes sense. That reminds me, Jesse, Vi was playing Sword of the Stars yesterday and mentioned that the insectoid spacefarers fed their unproductive members to arachnids. That's funny. That seems, I mean, that makes sense. It's brutal, but also, yeah. Fed there, not I'm that. I figured. Curse that autocorrect. Was that basically you're trying to lay out your start, but also trying to guess what the counter is doing. Saving for martial arts. I want to drop the other guy with limited forms, but not wanting to leave myself open. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I would wonder how you would keep it being more roleplay focused than like a deck building focused. Because if you build it, because I like Magic the Gathering, but I don't like Magic the Gathering when I want to role play. And so the structure of Magic doesn't really allow me to do that versus the looser structure of an RPG. So like, and I like some card-based RPGs, like with how Deadlands uses cards. So I think it could work, but keeping it, for me personally, keeping it more RP focused than strictly mechanical, because that's part of the appeal for me in the idea of a, martial arts movie style fighting RPG, is that fluidity and that roleplay aspect. And it's not just about the cards and the powers. They're influencing my decisions, but my decisions are based on the character. I don't know if that made any sense. Hey Deeps, good morning to you too. We're talking about if how to try and make like ideas for making a martial arts movie style fighting system RPG. So like to make it feel like how a martial arts movie feels when you're in combat, rather than like attack, wait, deal, or like attack, static roll, deal damage, other turn, how they react. Like trying to make it more like that back and forth fluidity of as Crawdad said, like a Shaw Brothers film where you have like that hit counter hit, like which there's some really good stuff in that. Or like if you've seen The Raid Redemption, just a great martial arts movie. Chocolate has great martial arts in it. This one we watched recently. What was that? What was that movie? I hate it when I blank on them. Or even like some of the fight scenes in The Witcher too have some of that good back and forth. Like a dragon. I couldn't focus. I was there with you all, but I was definitely playing Dead by Daylight the whole time. It's just the trying. My brain was way too ADD to read the movie and chat with everybody. So I was like, I'll just chat with everybody when I hear something fun, and I'm just gonna play Dead by Daylight. My partner really liked it. I wouldn't mind watching it, like sitting down to actually watch it. But that day, I just couldn't focus. I'd had a long day. Use deck for combat, not for RP. I've actually done some R&D for doing that with a TTRPG with a magic deck. That could be legit. The goal in all of these is to make it so play is quick, fast execute, minimal jerk, stop and start. Also moving rune flow. Yeah, totally. But I want, see again for me, I personally don't like RPGs that have that divide with RP and combat. So like that's one of the things that I don't enjoy about D&D is you have your combat list and options and things, and it has all to do with your social and everything else, and you can be like, I am a pious person, but I will use Smiter's holy flame on this child. And it's like, yeah, you can do that. Like it feels so separate. Like technically you're not supposed to be able to do that, but like they're so separated it feels like it's okay too. But then it's wrong that you are doing it that way. So I enjoy stuff where everything is kind of the same system. But again, that's a personal thing. Not everybody likes that. Some people like that hard divide, and some people like it a little more mushy, but with still some defined lines. Trying to make an American remake of The Raid now. I'm not amused. You know, I ain't gonna hate until maybe I see it. Honestly, another movie about someone just going up a building, fighting everyone up the way. You know, I ain't gonna hate on it. I doubt it'll be as good, but you know, I'll still probably be interested enough to watch. I'd recommend checking out if you get a chance. It was really entertaining. Oh shoot! Oh yeah, the Like a Dragon. Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't mind legitimately watching it. But is that a mechanical issue or like a philosophical design problem? Doc, kind of both. It is definitely a philosophical thing, but that's the idea I like design addressing. So like it's designed to not be a hard difference between sections of things. any DM worth their salt is going to have a non-evil cleric get dumped by their god in a millisecond after holy smiting an innocent child. Yeah, I mean, that was, you know, ghoulish overkill, but like the hard divide of like your combat and your social in those games, it's like, I enjoy more fluidity. On the raid, I feel like doing a movie about a SWAT team raiding an impoverished tenement building in the U.S. In here now sounds like a recipe for a ton of trouble, for real. Yeah, that sounds like they could do it well. You know, maybe not the best approach. Also, yeah, don't know if they're gonna approach that correctly. What would be great if it was an expensive building they were raiding. Had to get that 1% up in the top of the tower. Another example of a really good pro wrestling match where one person goes for a big move but gets countered into a different attack, but then backfires because the counterers run into the exposed turnbuckle. Yeah. And see, that's another thing that I feel like is very hard to not very hard, but that doesn't get brought up in a lot of RPGs design, is that idea of interacting with the environment. So like on your previous turn, or you know, at some point in the past, you did remove the pad from the turnbuckle so that you could use that to your advantage later. Like that's such a cool idea that I feel like does not get utilized. Oh look, there's that Streamlabs message I mentioned about with the Discord and stuff. Because I think that's awesome. I love stuff like that. And it is really harder to do in a lot of RPG stuff, because it's not really, a lot of times, not built for it. And then that adds a complication, especially when you're dealing with a system that's like more rigid or more crunchy. And it's like, well, I'm going to do this attack, but I want to do this attack on a, you know, naked turnbuckle. And it's like, well, that attack does X damage, but like, how much damage does a naked turnbuckle do? Is that what's fair? It's something where that sort of ingenuity is built into it would be really cool. That would really butter my biscuit, as they say. I feel you. Like for me, D20 can run into both spaces. The problem is that it's built for a war game. Yep. And the devs have been stuck in that for a long time. Yeah, absolutely. Basically what I say every time I talk about like D20 stuff, which I enjoy. Like D20 has a very special place in my heart. But yeah, it's absolutely built to be like a miniature war game with a light amount of RPing sometimes. Like this chapter content written about dude with hard rules, but like a page and a half. Well, I don't want to fight them. Can we dip it? Yeah, exactly. And it's also because it's a war game. I mean, just look at what classes get. It's almost exclusively built around combat when you level. Like all your cool, look at what this class does is look at how they hurt things. And so your options for combat become more robust and usually more fun or more expansive and more default because it's focused on it. And also in D20 and, you know, most D&D editions, a combat is a back and forth versus everything else, which is a hard pass or fail. Like you try to persuade someone, and if you make one roll, it is either a success or it is a failure, and that's not as fun as something that could be more of a back and forth. Where something like in Fate, where you have mental fortitude as well as physical, and like you can get in an argument with someone and whittle their mental HP down to where they, you know, either agree with you or just real tired of you. And like, fine, just get out of my way, and you win the argument. But it's more dynamic. Hey Lampy, late again, what I miss? Any more free PS4 giveaways? Thank you for reminding me. I have to message Pogs, and I was thinking about that yesterday. We were talking about trying the ups and downs. We're eventually maybe talk about the bug campaign. If we don't, it's okay. We're talking about RPGs. That's what's important. We're talking about doing how to do like a really cool fights, like martial arts movie fight scene in a tabletop RPG, like how to pull that off theoretically, and like what games might be able to do it. So like if you've ever seen like Shaw Brothers films or like The Raid Redemption, anything with like really good fight scenes in that, like very much back and forth, inventive, epic kind of fight, either one-on-one or, you know, you against a group. And also not make it take a year and a half, because combat is usually pretty lengthy. So that's what we're talking about right now. I guess the big difference is that in martial arts movies or pro wrestling, which I'm pro wrestling and martial arts movie, I'm putting on the same level here, because that's still like physical drama. And that reminds me of a thing that I gotta mention also about fight scenes. The fighters are working together to tell a story via violence, but in an RPG, players are trying to defeat an opponent while taking as little damage as they can, like the PC. Oh, yes. PC is not gonna blade his forehead to sell the brutality of the fight. That's a great point, Crawdad, because that could be worked into the system, where it is not about getting away with it with no damage, but that the back and forth failure can build on your later success. Because that's part of what makes those fight scenes really good, is like not that they're untouchable, but that they overcome. And so like kind of if you take damage, you add a point to a pool that you can later use or something like that. Like you need that back and forth in order to progress. Or worse, the non-combatant utility is given to the spellcaster and they're all solve this problem buttons. Yeah, absolutely. I cast fly. I cast charm. Get out of the way. Words cannot adequately describe how much I hate good berries. Nice. Like the best fix I found with D20 is basically like the combat is way more deadly. This makes it more fun, but also the high risk enough that you try to do other stuff. I agree. I feel like with D20, for me personally, the combat's too swingy. I agree it should be more deadly. That makes it more fun. But with my experience, it's D20 is so swingy that like one bad move can be fun shattering. And in vanilla rules doesn't usually offer a good counter to that. In a homebrew, kind of like what it sounds like you're talking about, could have things set up for it, which would be really good, because that does sound fun, and I do like that more. I want to talk about how to work super moves in D20. I don't dom the chat. We'll have to talk about that later. There's a few good ways to do it. Give yourself skills. That love, it just worked with one of my dev partners and ended up making an animal companion that lets you dip check. Ooh. Yeah, we can all hate good berries. What's up, Jack? What brings you here? Should the hero groups also get the layer actions or layer actions or legendary actions, where once around they can try and turn the tide through taking a group action? Jack, there is a game that I was playing called Emberland that we were talking about a little bit earlier in the stream that actually has those 4 players, and you have a tide turner action. It's called tide turners. And like they're huge actions, and you have a limited amount of them that you can use for a set amount of time, not like a rest, but like for a campaign. And like they're those big sort of actions, and it is really cool as a player to have that as an option, and to know that it's limited and that you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll do this big thing. It's like, you are very limited in this. Like, it's a good thing to do, but like, use it wisely. So I don't know. I don't think it'd be exactly like layer actions. I also am not as versed in 5e, and I know those are 5e terms. But I think that's a cool thing for players to have if it's built into the system. I feel like trying to shoehorn it in with something like 5e would ultimately cause problems that you could backwards compatible change and make it work. But that as a set thing, it's not built for it, so it's going to knock out a column somewhere. And you got to be ready to fix that. Because players do get some powerful stuff in 5e, but it works in a different way. But I like Tide Turner and legendary action sort of thing. PS has a system like that where your stats go to crap the longer damage you take. Yeah, but I hate changing stats in D20, Doc. It is, because then you gotta change your bonuses. Wow, what a headache. I pretty much banned all things that change stats when I played D20 and I was running it. I was like, I ain't putting up with this shit. Ain't no way. It's a cool idea, but in that system, I can't stand it. Because it affects too many things and affects the math too hard in too many ways. Helps a lot with villain hype. A lot of players trying to build a relationship with the villain before they fight. Stakes can get even more personal. Oh yeah, gotta build up that personal. Bleeds broken bones matter like they did anime, or when CM Punk finally gets to clock MJF. Yeah, A-dub. Turn damage into resources that can be used. Yeah, or try to work more dramaticness. Fight instead of effectively. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely think damage into resource is a cool mechanic for this sort of idea. Plenty of lumps or Eddie Kingston getting beat the F up, but winning by guts and determination. Yeah, nobody can stop Eddie Kingston. Rogue Scout, reading up on Larson saying Rogue doesn't have a lot to do, as I say, having people. Yeah, that's a huge problem in those. It's like, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's a system literally built around combat, and then there's also some roleplay stuff you can kind of do. How many GMs are really bad at getting their review over with players? Oh man, I love getting players invested in a villain. Ah, it's so fun. I love it. What's up, Jamate? Welcome. We're talking about fight alternative, trying to make like how to build fight like a martial art movie, combat fights, and like alternatives to stuff. We might talk about this bug campaign. We might just talk about this for the rest of the hour. It's RPG stuff. I'm not gonna sweat it. Might have to change the Twitch description to "Let's talk about fights and RPGs." Totally agree on that. Stat fiddling. Why I don't use that system? Yeah, that's what I love. The vocab. Get stages of damage. Oh yeah, the ideas of stat damage is great. The function of stat damage in D20 is unbearable to me. If I was better at math, maybe it'd be fine, but I'm not, so ain't my jam. But yeah, the thematics, the language, the changes, everything is really cool. Check Slack. Oh my gosh. Why am I checking Slack? Oh, that's at Harlock. Okay. Why is Harlock checking Slack? I said better about getting players invested in villain. After the first few sessions, tend to focus too much on what they're doing now, and not doing enough. Oh man, oh that's a whole topic. Getting players invested in the villain. That is a whole freaking topic. It doesn't help that I haven't GM'd in a long time. Oh man. Honestly, you know, Deeb's, like, it really does make a difference. The consistency and that gap in time, because there's a lot of small stuff that you just get comfortable with when you do it constantly, and when there's a break, like, you don't realize you're kind of rusty on something, or that you're not as quick you know, to bounce off a player's idea or something, because you're not in that groove. So don't beat yourself up on it, but like, yeah, it absolutely is a thing. Ooh. Oh, and Thunderguns resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1 and says smarmy rabbit with sunglasses. Thank you, Owen. I appreciate that. Thanks for resubbing. Makes me happy and I appreciate it. But yeah, Deeps, it's a skill set, and you gotta like keep it sharp. That's why I had to I was talking to some people and I was like, I have to start a meat space game now, because it's been a while and I need to not get more rusty on this. But yeah, so you got to get comfortable. Like, a huge part of it is comfort, And you gotta get comfortable with the people that you're sitting at the table with, and you gotta get comfortable with yourself being able to improv off of them. You gotta get comfortable in your chair. It's gotta be soft, a little bit squishy, not too hard. You don't want like a metal chair and then you're sweating the whole time, then you have swamp ass, and then you don't feel good. And then, you know, how are you gonna role play when you're just stewing and you sweat? That's no fun. You gotta get comfortable. It's a lot of ways you gotta get comfortable. The hardest is the social way, but everything else can be solved with items, pretty much. Doc says also, I see the easiest thing I found for stat drops is to change stat buffs to a die instead of a number. That's cool. I like that. That's smart. Add an extra die to the roll. That is much easier. And improve my skills. Definitely taking a hit. Yeah, okay. You're a slack. This is known. Biggest step is that they'll help make sure players in the same room with guy to RP, and they cannot or wouldn't fight him, meet them at a party, or have both running for election. That would be the best way to fight with words, not fists. Yeah, Doc, I agree. That's a good way to do it. I mean, I know a thing I love is making the one of my favorite villains is giving them I gave them like basically the same goal as my players, but a different method of achieving it. So like they had a hard clash of the means justifying the end, which was really cool. Oh, snap. I got followed by the Harlock? What? You gotta be careful, Jack, because I'll... if you come here, then I'll know we'll start sharing RPG secrets. And then maybe I'll know in the game. Oh, snap. And just Doc subscribed with Prime. Dang, Doc, thanks. Doc really making a presence here on day 2 of them joining us. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate the sub. That's really great. It helps me a bunch. Thank you, Jack, for the follow. That's really great. I personally know you and know you're cool, and that's makes me extra special feeling. I gotta catch up on chat. Oh my gosh. Can't roleplay with swamp ass. It's very hard. Just to make clear, the rules, the point of combat, the game is drama. Right, the over and over with description samples. Yeah, that's true, Crawdad. Also, sometimes players have to unlearn, because things like D&D teach you that combat is pretty much always the answer. And then if you want to play a game or use a system where combat is not always the answer, and then players are like, but from my experience, punch. And you gotta be like, oh boy, we gotta learn some new tricks here. So yeah, some players will come into it, and some players really like combat too, and then they will always just come out swinging. A GM chair is understated key component to S tier GMery. It is. Well, if you're running a game set in a swamp, yeah, if you that's how you RP it. Be like, I'm sweaty and gross and out like this. Yeah, then it's good. Then it gets you in the mood. Yeah, the guy was GMing Miller's game was really good at this. Oh. Any brands to recommend for chairs? I don't have a brand to recommend. I buy off Craigslist, and then I bought a little little seat cushion that I'm currently sitting on, and it helps a lot. That and the chiropractor are helping me a lot. Best place I've ever seen is to head something like bargains and buyouts place. They'll have stuff from all over with different designs, stuff that you can sit around and find something really fits your aesthetic. Followed by the Jack Packard. Yeah, I know. I did hit the big time. He also follows me on Twitter. It's amazing. I have like 1,100 followers on Twitter, so I have like nobody compared to Jack. But Jack follows me, so I feel special. I think Jamate does too. I had it and I don't like ads. Happy to help. Well, thanks, Doc. I assume you'll plan anything. You know, can't know what's going on if you don't. Yeah. I really believe in the, like, I don't know, post-it note style of GMing, where you have like the set things you want players to know and players to do, have them set up in like essentially post-it notes, and then you can apply them where you want them. If they talk to someone, they can have a piece of this information, even if they don't talk to the person you want them to talk to. And that can work with like like we were talking about with your villain. They can learn things about him, or like they can interact with them. They can find things out about him that they might like or dislike. Unlearning is the biggest thing I've seen. A lot of tables, yeah. It's one of the reasons I really love new players. They don't have the hang-ups of old hats. Oh my gosh, yes. The Emberwind campaign, one of the players in that is very new to RPGs. And it is, I love new players too. And she is like, it's really fun to see the wheels turn. Like when it's her turn, she's like, oh, I can do this. And like be like, yeah, you can. Like, it's really fun to get excited. Because the GM is very seasoned. And so like, he knows like, I'm gonna do this, and everything. And like, it is cool to see new players, like how they interact with the world, and like think of stuff that I just didn't think of, like, and how they'll interpret something. And it's like, what? And it makes sense, but I interpret it a different way because I played RPGs for so long, and I think, oh, I think this probably applies like this. But then to see someone who doesn't have that sort of back catalog apply the information they get in a different way is so cool. I love new players. They're great. Immersion could come from the strangest places. I watched Dune 2021 in a hot, stuffy cinema. Well, it was uncomfortable for the first few minutes. I didn't even notice it after they arrive on Arrakis. I don't know Dune, so I don't know how to pronounce that. Immersion can come from strange places. If you like post-its, you might want to check out the Pocket Campaign app. Lets you make digital cards. Ooh, for your game, you can send them out to players. They keep on their phone. Even lets you put secrets into it with passwords to lock it so PCs can't see those parts. Ooh, that sounds fun. A rack kiss. Nice. Man, I'm okay with being off topic, but like someday I'll stay on topic. I have put zero information in this bug campaign, but we did talk a lot about fighting and making combat more interactive. I like that. That was really nice. It's great watching the outsider brains figure it out. There's nothing like watching the magical girl figure out how to solve the fights with friendship or a new PC argue with an AI over the value of free will and going, cool. Sentient free will versus knowing what you were made for is going to be a part of the campaign. Yeah. I have ADHD. I kissed the topic. Kissed on topic with tearful goodbye decades ago. Yeah, I'm ADHD too. I feel you there, Doc. Yeah, that doc actually on the subject directly of Magical Girls. I finished up a few weeks ago Magical Girl anime campaign with some players, and the final big boss was long story. All the monsters they were fighting were like manifestations of emotions. So like hate, fear, things like that. Every monster had a primary, secondary, and tertiary emotion, and then its form, its attacks, and how you defeat it all play off of what those emotions were built on. And so one of the monsters, the final monster, was built on one of the players' hate for a person from their backstory because she like stabbed her in the back and a bunch of stuff, not physically, but like stole ideas from her, ended up becoming famous off of that idea and like making money, and she never got it any like credit or money or anything off of it. And like that, through events that the players did that I was not expecting, ended up making that monster, and one of the character's qualities was like constantly like mad or like very hateful, and like defeated the monster. They fought it for a while and then was like, hey, you know what, I've held on to this anger long enough, I need to move on, I forgive you, and like beat the monster by letting go of a quality they have and getting rid of a driving force in their character to dispel this monster. So it was really cool. And she's also a new player. It's like one of the first games she's played, and like just absolutely nailed a thing that I was like, yes, this is brilliant. So that made me really happy. One of the things that annoyed the crap out of me in PF1 is that they built a legit magical girl choice for the game, and the mechanics were so bad. Oh, I believe it. D20 does not sound like a good thing for magical girls. I need a player run one for 6 months. I had to do a whole rebuild. Yeah, I can believe that. I mean, again, D20, special, PF1, all that, special place in my heart, but it's good at what it does. And when you try to go outside of that, it kind of crumbles. Like all systems. That's why systems matter. Like the kind of game you want to play, it can be helped or hindered based on the system you use. So while I like Pathfinder 1, yeah, Magical Girl sounds like it would not work. Reminds me of players going through existential crisis. Old man hugged them and on a quest, and magic try to break the cycle of abuse has been very cool. That is cool. That's a cool RP character thing. That's really neat. Reminds me of watching my half sister at 5 years old playing a proper video game for the first time. An old Barbie game for the Xbox. She ran around, found a key for a gate, opened the gate, and then spent several minutes dithering because she wanted to close the gate behind her. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Why can't you close the gate? That's... Man, video game ideas that you unlock the gate, it means the gate is open, was completely alien to her. That's funny. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you get with new players, is that like where seasoned players, people who know video games, will be like, oh, I got key, move forward. this area is behind me, whatever, versus, you know, a new player being like, well, yeah, I want to shut the gate. Why wouldn't I shut the gate? You shut the gate behind you. Why can't I shut the gate? Like that, where when you're, I don't know if seasoned is the right word, but when you've played it enough, you kind of have an assumption that the idea is to move forward, and in RPGs, and, you know, whatever gate you open was a possibly just, you know, mental thing, like, oh, it is not a mental thing, it is an obstacle to overcome. You overcame it, you keep going, unless there's something chasing you, and then you shut the gate. But to think about it in a role-playing aspect of literally just shutting the gate behind you, that's freaking cool. That's I really like that, Larson. That is a perfect metaphor. Yeah, it's a trip. I remember I brought my ex into video games for the first time. One of the biggest things I had to learn was whether I wanted them to like it as much as I did or the same way. And once I answered that question, I got way better at designing and introducing people to my hobbies. Yeah, that's very important. Because people will interact with it in a different way than you. And it's okay. But you do have to be emotionally prepared for that. Kind of wish I could remove my video game knowledge when playing tabletop RPGs. I think it really limits my creativity because my brain enters game mode. I'm not as bad about it as some of my friends I've played with have been, but it's hard to shake that mindset. Yeah. Kind of what we were talking about with the unlearning, where, yeah, it can really... Fester sounds too mean of a word, but it really does influence it, and having that break. Because I did that earlier when I started doing RPGs, and I would absolutely use game logic of like, this door is locked, and then to me I was like, oh well, you can't go in, the door is locked from the other side or whatever. And then in an RPG setting, players would be like, okay, well, I'm gonna start kicking this door. I'm gonna get a screwdriver and take off the hinges. I'm gonna try and shoulder check my way through the wall next to it to get on the other side of this. And it's like, I have nothing on the other side of this door. This is just this is essentially a wall. And that was something I had to learn too as a GM, to be like, okay, I have to make a more playable space than a video game. So I totally feel you. It is something to, I would say it is something to adapt, but yeah, you can, some knowledge from video games is also helpful. Like when you can chain things or combo things that you could attempt to do in an RPG. What trips people up the most when they try to make people like it for the same reason? Yeah, exactly. Or steal the door and take it with them. Yeah, you gotta steal the door. Look, when you come across a friendly talking magical door, what are you gonna do, leave it? Come on, get out of here. You take it with you. You unhinge Dory and you take Dory with you. That's what you do. Then when you gotta cross a river, you got a door. When you want to talk to someone, you got a door. Headcanon, the first shop Grinderbin opens will have Dory as the front door. Oh, destructible environments are a thing someone needs to figure out in a system, because I can say there's nothing quite as fun as going full raid and knocking people through floors and windows. Oh yeah, absolutely, that is a hoot. I love like I said earlier, interactive environments are something I absolutely love. So I feel like they're often underutilized in a scene, be that combat or role playing. And I totally am guilty of that as well, where I'm like, I built this thing and I don't take into account as much as I should the actual like logistics of the room itself. Yeah, I feel at times learned D&D mechanics from Neverwinter Nights, so it was a big brain shift to start thinking of walls and things can be climbed over. Yep. Yeah, and like I feel that, Larson, because I've been playing video games since I was a child. I didn't start playing tabletop RPGs until I was nearly 20, like I was in college. So that was a whole lot to unlearn. I feel you there. I have players who arch nemesis is an Ankylosaurus. He has failed to hunt twice. He's now Elmer Fudd, and his bugs is the Dino Tank. That's funny. He's the doorman. He is the doorman. That's funny, Jack. It's just, Dory's such a delightful character. Why wouldn't Grinderbin want him as the doorman? The literal doorman. Also, safer than just a normal door. Even if someone breaks in, at least the door can tell you what happened. That's helpful. Unless they steal the door. You know, try to prevent that, but you know. That would stink, because then you gotta do a rescue mission to save your friend Dory. That's a whole campaign hook. Did you ever pick Dory back up, or is it still the tide of the river? No, we picked Dory back up. Or worse, what if Dory gets framed? Oh, that was good. That was good, Larson. But yeah, Lampy, absolutely pick Dory back up. Can't let Dory go. Thoroughly enjoy Dory. Street style work, blah, 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 blah. Oh, what was that? It has all the... Alright, let me just read from the beginning. Pathfinder improved weapons and street style work with that a lot, but I think that part of it with D20 is that it has all the incidental bonuses that can exist, cover position, but they never write it into classes to work around. Yeah. And therefore it just ends up being filler in the books. Like, why can't you write a martial class in core that's all about positioning, like an area martial control? I think some other D20 systems did that. Like, I want to say, oh shoot, what was it called? Fantasy Craft might have had a class like that, but like D20 is not the right system for it. It gets too number intensive too quick. It's like, I want to do this one cool thing, and then you're gonna spend like 5 minutes doing calculations. But yeah, stuff like that I feel like is really fun to have. I've seen some third-party stuff. Great. Carter and Tactician. Still surprised to see when devs from Piazzo effort cover terrain, bonuses stuff but nothing as a player I can take to boost it. Yeah. Feel you there, Dark. Smashes through a window. 4th edition had some of what, Leon? I have not played 4th. I know a friend of mine loves 4th and doesn't understand the hate. I've never played it, so I don't know. When will Jack and Jesse do their own system and take... Look, if I can get Jack... I think Jack would enjoy Lexicon. If I could get Jack to join me. If I can convert Jack to Lexicon. Heh. Take over this doggone world. Because Jack's really good at improv. And like, honestly, his opinion is pretty cool. I feel like he would be a good resource in that. Especially in something that's as roleplay heavy as Lexicon. Basically, let's play a class, like a blue counter deck, and it's amazing, very fast, totally changes the meta once you fight it once. Oh, that's kind of cool. Gardener? That's fun. Before you one thing, it had the very best D&D comic ever. J&J better than D&D. It's just giving your players the most toys, superpowers with the least amount of math. That is a fine rule. Most not abilities necessarily, but yeah, most possibilities with the least amount of math. That's a general rule that I try to stick to as well, Jack. I want players to be able to do a lot, and I want them to do it in a reasonable amount of time because I will get bored. And I know if I'm getting bored, the other players are getting bored. 4th has a bizarre game because it's D&D at its most D&D. It knows that D&D is tactical combat game, and it went hard. But that actually sounds good though, because that is what D&D is. It's a tactical combat game. Crawdad says Lexicon is good. Thanks, Crawdad. I will hold that compliment near and dear to my heart. I'm gonna print that. I'm gonna put it in a little locket. I'm gonna hang it right here near my clavicle, where all my feelings are. But thanks, Crawdad. I'm glad you enjoy it. That's really cool. Yeah, I think Jason Bullman calls that the barbarian is a trig exam Y problem. Fells 5, it's a D&D 4E comic. Okay, and it's just wonderful. I do like comics, Larson. You got me there. Also, fantasy is cool. So it's hugely combat-centric game, possibly even more than other D&D editions. There's a bunch of indie design nerds that love it because it knows exactly what it is. It's better balanced than other editions, and it does some bad-ass stuff with keeping abilities modular as hell. See, that's what D&D is built to do. That sounds like what it should do. Would you say D10 systems like Storyteller have less maths? Discordia, abso-freaking-lutely I would. Because you're with the dice pool in the Storyteller system, if I'm remembering correctly, and maybe it changes in editions, but like the majority of bonuses have to do with adding dice to the pool or changing a number that's only going to be a 1 through a 10. So that is way easier because like, oh, I get a +2 to my dice pool. Throw 2 more D10. You were throwing 4 before, now you're throwing 6. Boom. How many of those hit the target number? That's your success. Like Storyteller is way less math. Storyteller fun too. I like Storyteller. If you made your own system, would you charge for bug fixes? Lampy, if I have made it. Made my own system. I also wouldn't charge for bug fixes. Like some Hasbro owned companies. My understanding is 4E, that's like you're controlling a single character in a tabletop war game where it's all about positioning and combat. Could be great if that's what you're looking for. Well, sir, it's extremely tedious. Oh, Crawdad read Fells 5 recently. Oh, it's written by the person who does Skull Kickers. That's cool. Percentile easier than DC 37, yeah. There's also so Emberwind, that game I was talking about earlier and then brought up a few more times, the way it does it, which I really enjoy, is you roll a d20 for your thing, but you have thresholds and you're trying to roll under the number, which I think is how the new Star Trek game works too. So like you roll a d20, if you get a 1 or 2, so like my character was, the critical threat range was a 1 or a 2, the piercing threat range was 8 or below, and the hit threat range was 15 or below. So like if I rolled a 14, I hit, but I would do damage against their armor. If I rolled an 8 or below, I pierce their armor, so they don't get their damage reduction. I do full damage. And then if I roll a 2 or below, it's a critical hit, which is the max dice damage for whatever attack I was doing. And then your bonuses, so like if I gave a character, buffed them for a +2, so now that adds to their threshold. Because now rather than trying to hit from a, 15 or below, now they're trying to get a 17 or below. And then I did the same thing. I buffed someone for, I added the threshold to their damage reduction. So it was the same sort of numbers, like just, +1, +2, +4, stuff like that. Well, some of them went up to 10, which were really cool. But it all added to your target number, making that easier to hit. So math ended up being very fast, which was really cool. And yeah, it was kind of a mix between the DC and the percentage, which I like percentage as well. I feel like 1 through 100 can get sometimes a little swingy, but I think it very much depends on the system too. And that just some of the ones I played, and I don't remember what they were called, felt a little swingy because you're dealing with 100. I haven't played Justice, and I'd say there aren't enough bugs to make that a viable business strategy. Oh, thanks, Crawdad. I have to introduce more problems so that I can then fix them and then charge to fix them, rather than doing the things that I would want to do with it, like, build new campaign settings and stuff, or build some sort of martial arts game based on its framework. Yeah, PF2 does that. One of the things I really dig about it, but unfortunately they kept escalating scale rather than a de-escalating one, like keeping it tight. Yeah. I do like the way Pathfinder 2 did it, but yeah, it does get a little more numbers and more numbers. But I also feel like Pathfinder is built on power fantasy, and so that's what it's designed to do. While that's not my favorite thing, I'm not huge into power fantasy, it does fit that idea and that theme because it continues to grow, which does make math harder and probably would irritate me if I got to like level 13 in a campaign and be like, yeah, I'm good. The Modifius Star Trek is a good example of a system mattering. Since characters on Star Trek tend to be very competent, the game assumes that PCs are going to succeed at most roles. They have lots of options for accomplishing things. Yeah, I want to try that Star Trek game because you've talked about it. I've seen a little bit on it, and it does sound really cool. Pathfinder is built on hey kids want to keep playing 3.5. Yeah, that's exactly. Pathfinder 1 was exactly that, which made it easy to understand when I started playing it because I was like, oh, it's pretty much 3.5. All right. And boom, we're in. Again, 3 point whatever has a special place in my heart. But again, it's good at what it does. And then when you try and build outside of that using its framework, it don't work well. But what it is, for what it is good. First is Pathfinder released. Yeah, the second one is like an evolution of 3rd edition or Pathfinder 1, which I really like. I think 2nd edition Pathfinder did a lot right. If nothing else, action economy is great in it. There's a lot more than action economy that's great in it, actually. But like the action economy in it, I love how they did that. Where it's you have 3 actions in a turn, and you can do them in any order. That doesn't matter. Some things count as 2 or 3 actions, but most things count as 1 action. And then you do what you want, and it's really cool. Like it flows very well. Let's see, sort of, but the problem is that the DC just drops being easy to conceptualize. Like you'll do 5 levels where DC 2025 is like upper and then it breaks and then you go, what does this mean now? Is DC 20 easy or is 37 like a plus ultra? Yeah, I think that's fair, Doc. I never really write an answer to that. We want to keep doing 3X for sure. We just use Arcana Evolved instead of Pathfinder. Arcana Evolved was really fun. I mean, Monty Cook made 3, 5, and 3, so like of course that's gonna be good. He knows the system. But yeah, I really enjoyed some of the stuff in Arcana Evolved. It was also a good build on it. Yeah, I got started with 3.5.2. It keeps tripping me up with 5e because so much of the ladder 3.5. Unless we're noted. Yeah. I'm always calling things by their 3e names. Yeah. This looks kind of an easy clutch mechanic. Oh man, it doesn't. I should add easy clutch to it. That's very important. Gotta have the ability to easy clutch. Especially trips we have with the lore because of course the personal signature 9.5 is butt stupid. Larson, I'm gonna agree with you on that. It's butt stupid. Oh, I have 5 minutes. Thank you. All right, I gotta wrap up. I was gonna start at 12 today, but we had to rearrange for meetings and stuff. So I was doing 11 to 1, and it's almost 1. So that means I gotta stop. I did diddly squat with the bug campaign, but I had fun talking about RPGs with you all. I have some new topics that I want to talk with people about for future things. I hope you had fun and learned some stuff, and we were talking about systems and stuff, RPG stuff. I can't believe 2 hours just went by. So I hope you all had a good time. This is a regular thing, so you brainstorm fight mechanics for Blood game? No, we brainstorm fight mechanics for a Shaw Brothers game. I added 0 words to this document today. I fixed a typo where I put spa instead of sap. That is the only thing I did in here. I even have some notes of things that I wanted to do today, but we ended up talking about a bunch of other stuff, RPG related. But again, it was fun. I think you all might have had fun. So that's cool. Oh, Crawlies says was Easy Clutch. Easy Clutch is when you're, I think, if I'm doing this right, you're the last one alive in a game, like you're playing a PvP game, video game, and you're the last one alive on your team, and you have to take out the enemy team. But it should be easy, so it's an easy clutch. Whereas clutch is like, I think like your last one. But it was a joke because someone was telling us easy clutch in one game when I was playing with Amy and Alex, and it's not an easy clutch, but we just thought it was really funny, and it became a running joke. So easy clutch became a emote. I didn't play TTRPGs, but I always have fun regardless. Well, thanks, Owen. I'm glad. That's entertainment is what I aim for. Thank you, Owen, for resubscribing, by the way. Thank you, Doc, for subscribing for the first time. And thank you, Jack, aka Harlock, and also B. Lennon Gambata and the Levitating Nun for following. You're awesome for doing that. Thank you, everybody who came. It was awesome. I'm hoping to go. I didn't go too hard and flooded the chat. You know, I don't think so. I could have been like, "Hey, I'm done talking about this. We're changing subjects," but I was pretty fluid. I was enjoying what we were talking about. So, now we're good. I can't catch up on chat. I have to stop this. But thank you, everybody who came. I really appreciate it. I'll be back next Wednesday with this. I'll be doing something with Blight tomorrow night. We'll be playing something, probably Switch related. I hope we play Smash. I don't know why, but I want to play Smash. So if you want to join, you can. Yeah, and there's the Discord. There's RPG Help Desk channel in there if you want to keep talking RPG stuff. There's a bunch of other channels in there. Share those hot memes. Save State Cinema. Watch video game movies. Thanks to Blight, who hosts that. Yeah, you can check that out. There's a Patreon if you want to constantly throw money. There's Ko-fi if you want to one-time throw money. And there's, you know, just being here if you don't want to throw any money. That's cool too. I like having people here. Movies of dubious quality. That's accurate. Guess you probably get started on the dinner now. That you did talk about that about an hour and a half ago, so.
1 minute.
We're gonna go Dead by Daylight. We're gonna raid the Scottish Geek. Oh gosh, did I hit? Oh, I hit ready to raid. Okay, good. I thought I hit start raid and I didn't even say goodbye. Oh, doobie. Yeah. All right. Setting up the raid for Scottish Geek. You all are awesome. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow or in the Discord at any time, then I hope you're super enjoying whatever it is you are doing. And I'm feeling this beat. Oh, there's my window. Okay. Nope, that's not the one I want. That's the one I want. That's where start rate is. Well, I appreciate you too, Deeps. Thank you. Take care, everybody.